I believe in the mindset that you give respect to get respect. And the one thing I'm certain of, managers do not win games in this league, but you can certainly lose them. But you have to have the respect of your men, and you have to put them first. This game is about the players. And I've been fortunate and lucky enough to been taught that in an early stage, and try to always make that the common denominator of all the thoughts and the decisions that I make.
Miami tonight, it is a new era for sure for the Miami Marlins. The Arizona Diamondbacks arrived. The Marlins just swept by the Braves. This is a 4-game series. Dan Jennings standing at attention. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hunt. In less than 24 hours, the Marlins were nearly no hit. Within an out of that, they fired their manager, Mike Redmond. They hired their general manager, Dan Jennings, to manage. It has been a dizzying day, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Rich. And I know you and I know DJ for a long time, and we all know what kind of talent evaluator he is, and he has been in his role in the front office. Himself included, no one knows what kind of a manager he's going to be. There can be some growing pains, but he told you he's going to be aggressive. We'll look for that. It'll be a real challenge for Dan Jennings.
He certainly has a resume, a long resume in baseball that does not include managing at any level. The one thing when you talk to Dan Jennings and people around the Marlins, they really feel since he had a hand in building this team that he's the guy to lead them.
I'll tell you one other thing, too. As you look at his resume, Dan Jennings is a good motivator, and he knows these guys in the clubhouse. He's signed a lot of them. He's traded a lot of them. So he has the ability to get into their heads a little bit more. A good motivator. We'll have to see how it turns out.
Well, that first chapter in the Dan Jennings era is tonight. He will lead the Miami Marlins against the Arizona Diamondbacks. When we return, we will hear from the new skipper as the Marlins and the D-backs moments away.
He's been coaching almost 50 years. We had one motto in our house as I was growing up, and that is, you can't win if you're afraid to lose.
One of these. It's a Marlins tie as well. Very nice. Let's go out to center field. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine.
Well, you thought he wanted to take the tie off? No luck for Dan Jennings. Look at that big smile. He was wondering, Jeff Conine, if he'd have some butterflies in his belly. Maybe they'll start, he said, after the song, the national anthem. And here's an amazing opportunity for him, and it's an exciting night.
Well, I guarantee he's going to have butterflies tonight. And I think with the players you see there, having fun with them, putting the tie on, that's going to alleviate that stress a little bit. And hopefully he has some confidence going in here, knowing that they've got his back. The
players know him well. He was the general manager, of course, last 2 years, and he knows the team well. Those are big factors. But his family and his background, a big reason why Dan Jennings is the manager of the Marlins tonight.
And I must tell you, even my mom, who I love, she asked me, am I crazy? Or have you lost your mind? So, you know, I come from a family with a father who's a coach. He's been coaching almost 50 years. We had one motto in our house as I was growing up, and that is, you can't win if you're afraid to lose. So when I heard what these guys said and the way they proposed it, and in my heart, this is a playoff team. I love those kids in that clubhouse, and I respect them and what they mean and why they're here. And that's the message that is now my job to convey to them, and hopefully their abilities will rise and they do what they're capable of doing.
You know, Dan Jennings knows this team as well as anyone in this organization. You see him during batting practice, making his rounds, talking to everybody, trying to get that comfort level established. Oh, even with me.
Yes.
How about that? I think we're comfortable. I'm good with you, Dan. But you see him talk to everybody, and that's going to be part of the process, is getting their trust and their confidence in him as a manager of this team.
He went out to left field. He went out to center. It was unbelievable. I was looking around. Where is he? And he was everywhere making rounds. And, man, he looks comfortable. Day one here of what he said, no, it wasn't a lifelong dream. He didn't think about it. But here he is taking advantage of an opportunity and rolling the dice a little himself, as he said. You got to take some chances if you want to succeed.
Yeah, he's taking a chance. He's taking a big chance. But I think when you put those dice out there and it all works out, it's going to be great for Dan Jennings.
You can't win, folks, if you're afraid to lose. That's his motto. Maybe the Marlins can take that motto and ride it in this 2015 season. Got baseball coming up. The Arizona Diamondbacks, the Miami Marlins. Game 1 of 4 next.
Toyota. Let's Go Places. And by AutoNation. Save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit AutoNation.com. Dan Herron on his way out, ready to face the Arizona Diamondbacks. A former Diamondback for 3 seasons, twice an All-Star as a Diamondback. And this is the lineup that he will face. The Diamondbacks were just swept in Philly. They've dropped 4 straight overall. Jam Lexus brings it to you. Ender Inciarte is in left field. A.J. Pollock in center. Paul Goldschmidt is a star. Look at the RBIs he's piled up since 2012. Yasmani Tomas, the Cubans, at third. Mark Trumbo, big power there in right. Aaron Hill at second. Chris Owings is at short. Tuffy Gosewich will do the catching. And Ruby De La Rosa, a Dominican right-hander, hits ninth.
You're right, Rich, about Dan Herron. 3 years a Diamondback, and in those 3 years, 37 and 26, a nice mid-threes ERA and 87 starts. However, when he wandered elsewhere, he's pitched well against Arizona. 6-2 is his lifetime mark against Arizona in 7 career starts. Dan Herron had a little bump in the road in L.A. last time out, but if you look at the starting staff, Dan and David Phelps have been the 2 most consistent starters for the Marlins so far.
Diamondbacks and Marlins, 2 very good defensive teams. Here's the Marlins, brought to you by BMW.
And there is Christian Yelich. You see Ichiro Suzuki in center field. Marcelo Zuna had to leave because of a personal issue. Giancarlo Stanton in right. Everything's setting up the same, but look at Justin Bour gets the start at first base. JT Real Muto behind the plate.
Dan Herron into the windup, and this ball game is underway. Fastball that is up. Pitch Penny brings you that first pitch. And for Dan Jennings, I'm sure the heartbeat is racing right about now. Herron's next pitch is fouled into the seats. Ender Inciarte, the left fielder for the Diamondbacks. And Inciarte, an average over 300. Doesn't walk a whole lot. Is on base at 333. This is a Diamondback team that has their own new manager in Chip Hale in his first year as a major league skipper. There's a bunt, and a good one, but a left turn will bring it wide of the line and into foul territory.
Yeah, you have a couple of guys, Inciarte and Pollock. They have the speed. They'll run. Dan Jennings will try to factor all those things in. But as you write down their batting averages, Chip Hale has some guys hitting the ball pretty well. They're second in the National League in batting average and 4th in the league in runs. Chip Hale, 50-year-old, in his first year as the Diamondbacks skipper.
Counts 1-2. Both teams were shut out 6-0 yesterday. The Diamondbacks up in Philly. The Marlins, of course, nearly no hit. Within an out was Shelby Miller. Justin Bour broke it up. That one up the middle. Echeverria glides behind the bag and gets the out. And there's one out here in the first inning.
That's a good term, too. Glides. That's the way Echeverria goes after a lot of balls. He looks so easy. Trust me, it's not that easy. He just glides and makes it look smooth.
A.J. Pollock, center fielder for the Diamondbacks. Pollock in the 2 spot, a Notre Dame product.
Might have had a pregame chat with David Phelps.
Phelps, of course, in the Marlins rotation and slated to throw on Wednesday night. This is a 4-game series. There's a look at Phelps. Pollock swings and clobbers one foul. Hooks it all the way up into the seats. That's not the guy that caught Stanton's home run with one hand, or else he would have made that play.
Yeah, the guy from West Palm Beach the other day in center field picked it. Might have some redness in that hand still, though.
Got to charge that ball, right?
Hey, we've got to do a little research. Pollock is 27. David Phelps is 28. They could have been teammates at Notre Dame.
0-2 from Herron is inside with Goldschmidt waiting on deck. The Diamondbacks have some bats, some scary bats in the lineup. You've got Goldschmidt, Trumbo, Yasmani Tomas. One fouled at the plate. And there is Goldschmidt. Dan Jennings on the rail, and not far away is Mike Goff, his bench coach. Little tapper. This time Echeverria has to come forward, and with a quick release is able to get a speedy A.J. Pollock.
And Rich, quick and smooth once again.
You would think when the Marlins get to Arizona, Diamondback fans are anxious to see Giancarlo Stanton. It's always fun for us to see Paul Goldschmidt.
I think if this guy played in a big market, he would be extremely well known around the major leagues. You look at his numbers, top 5 in batting average, home runs, RBIs. One of the premier right-handed power hitters, certainly in the league.
In fact, this series has 3 of those premier power hitters, right? You've got Trumbo and Goldschmidt from Arizona, and Giancarlo Stanton from Miami. Heron misses away.
I think one of the interesting things, there are a few hitters that the Diamondbacks have that have some good numbers against Dan Heron, but Paul Goldschmidt is not one. He's 3 for 16, but one of those a home run.
Yeah, some of those hitters aren't the big bats you're thinking about, are they?
Yeah, Aaron Hill hit well. Pollock, who just grounded out, 5 for 9 now against Heron. Chris Owens, another.
2-2. And it's just out. Out by a good deal. Got that great view from almost straight on center field. Goldschmidt hooks it foul.
So many times, Rich, we talk about pitchers that are from Texas. Out of Texas, went to high school. Woodlands, Texas.
3-2 got him. Dan Heron, 88. I throw 88. That's his Twitter handle, and that's the 3rd out of the 1st. Getting ready to hit. Jam Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. Gordon still leading the free world in hitting at .420. Martin Prado in the 2 spot. Giancarlo Stanton seems to always hit well against any National League West opponent. Justin Bour not only in the lineup but in the cleanup spot, with Marcell Ozuna missing this ball game for family reasons. JT Realmuto up in the 5 spot. The lefty-righty bats broken up with Christian Yelich. Adeiny Echeverria, Ichiro hits 8th. And Dan Heron hits 9th.
How you doing?
Nice to hear, D. Gordon. Sir, how you doing? Alfonso Marquez, the home plate umpire. Ruby De La Rosa, the starting pitcher.
Yeah, nice little conversation going on there at the plate. Ruby De La Rosa out of the Dominican came over from the Red Sox in a deal that sent Wade Miley to Boston.
And here's Gordon with Prado and Stanton to follow. And De La Rosa delivers a fastball for a strike. 63 hits, and every day we take a look at the charts for the best start in Major League history in terms of number of hits. Gordon has been among the immortals at 63 through his first 35 games to start a season. Only Henry Aaron, George Sisler, and Rod Carew have had more hits than D. Gordon. Gordon fouls it back. It's funny too, because you always look ahead. What happens if he gets 3 hits? Where does he go from there? You see the hit leaders by a good margin over Adrian Gonzalez.
I mean, he has a 15-hit lead over the number 2.
Well, the number 1 guy, Henry Aaron, from his 35th to his 36th game, in his 36th game, Aaron had 4 hits, so he goes up to 71 real quick. It's a 1-2 from the 26-year-old Dominican. Gordon stays alive. Tommy, we saw in the Braves series pitchers approach D. Gordon a little differently. A lot of breaking balls. Dodgers kind of started that trend out in Los Angeles. Braves kind of continued it.
Yeah, in LA, that was probably the first time we saw that. A lot of it depends on what a pitcher features, though. And De La Rosa, sometimes if he doesn't have a feel for his breaking ball, his slider, he'll stay mainly with fastballs and changeups. He has pretty good changeup.
If you're a Dominican-born right-hander, I think you come out of the crib throwing that changeup like that. Down goes D. Gordon, first out here in the first.
Especially when one of your favorite players was Pedro Martinez as a kid. Here's a look at the defense for the D-backs. Ender Inciarte, A.J. Pollock, Mark Trumbo in that outfield. Yasmani Tomas, Chris Owens, Aaron Hill, Paul Goldschmidt around the infield. Goldschmidt a Gold Glover. And behind the plate, Tuffy Goswitch.
Martin Prado, also a former Diamondback. He takes a fastball for a strike. For Prado and for all the Marlins, the Braves series a real tough one. Prado was just 1 for 14 in the series. Certainly he's not the reason the Marlins were swept. Shelby Miller nearly no-hit him yesterday. Now, if the Yankees were coming in to finish the homestand instead of the Baltimore Orioles, then Prado would have all his teams covered, right?
It would be the trifecta. Braves, Diamondbacks, and Yankees.
And that's the order in which he appeared on those ball clubs. Stanton's on deck. Ruby De La Rosa is 2-1. Prado sends it in the air to right field. Trumbo went back, now in. He makes the catch.
De La Rosa has made just 1 previous appearance against the Marlins. It was just a couple of innings pitching out of the bullpen, and he's never pitched in this ballpark before.
Well, here is Stanton. And despite all that's gone on in the last not only 24 hours, but you go back to 4 days, Stanton has really been on a nice run. The 4 home runs he's hit, only 1 was under 400 feet. Heck, only 1 was under 470 feet, right? The ball out of Dodger Stadium, the 2 to center, 1 into the camera cutout, 1 way above that. Swings and misses, and the count is 0-2. Ball and 2 strikes. 11 homers, 36 driven in. And he no longer leads the National League. Bryce Harper has overtaken him in the RBI lead, 37.
Now, Harper had a big night last night in San Diego. 3 for 4, hit another home run, has 14 home runs, and had 4 RBIs in that game.
What has fueled this run by Stanton, as you see Justin Bour on deck, is a lot more discipline at the plate. He's been laying off pitches out. That one, a changeup, a righty to a righty. That's how good De La Rosa's change is. A 1-2-3 first for Miami. First game as a Marlins manager, and so far scoreless. As Manny Tomas, Mark Trumbo, and Aaron Hill come to the plate, and Dan Herron, who's had success against the Diamondbacks, his old ball club, 6-2 in 7 starts. ERA at 3.42. Here is Tomas, one of the latest Cuban imports. Tomas takes a strike, 24. Out of Havana, 5 years with the Industriales. An interesting hitter, Hut. He's thick and strong, and so far, most of his power has been to right center field.
Yeah, he has just the 1 home run. They expect a little more power to come. They also said he's been playing a pretty good third baseman. They weren't quite sure where his position would be.
Big swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Of course, the Diamondbacks not only have a new manager, they have a new general manager and a new chief baseball officer with a pedigree that runs deep with a lot of success. Line to the right, a base hit.
There's that right field stroke.
So Tomas is aboard. Tony La Russa is the chief baseball officer of the Diamondbacks. Dave Stewart is the senior vice president and general manager. Yes, Dave Stewart. He of the ultimate game face, that stare down that he had on the mound.
Well, he'd get that cap in a certain way and stare in to get the sign, staring at the hitters.
Of course, as we noted, Chip Hale, longtime bench coach, especially for Bob Melvin in his first year. Herron misses out. And here's Trumbo, who may not hit as many homers as Paul Goldschmidt, but he probably has more longer home runs. There's Chip Hale, former star at Arizona, 7 years in the big leagues with the Minnesota Twins.
Guy was also a major league coach with Oakland and the Mets.
Last 3 years in Oakland with Bob Melvin was their bench coach. count 3-0 now. And a real contrast certainly across the diamond. Dan Jennings, who arrives here via scouting, general manager, front office. And Hale, who once he finished with the Twins, spent some time in the minor leagues, managing in Arizona's farm system. Played for the great Jerry Kindle at Arizona for a national champion. 3-1 count. And Aaron gets a strike.
Well, that's a good 3-1 pitch. We talked about Trumbo's power. 2012, 2013, 32 and 34 home runs. Missed a lot of last year, though. Had a stress fracture in his left foot. He was out a few months.
That is strike 3 called, and Dan Herron comes back to strike out Trumbo. So an out. Tomas is still at first. Tomorrow would be Tuesday. That means the Miami Herald Half Price Tuesday will get you into the ballpark for half price. Diamondbacks Marlins at 7:10. Half price Lexus Legends Platinum tickets. Great discounts on tickets and several other categories. Marlins.com, the place to go. Here's Chris Owings, and he fouls it back. Owings, one of those guys, Hut, you pointed out, that has had success against Dan Herron.
Yeah, this is an interesting combo right here.
Excuse me, I'm off. Aaron Hill is the hit.
Yeah, when Owings comes up, though, he's the guy who had that success. Hill has as well, though. He's hitting pretty well. A lot of ABs for Hill. 31, 10 for 31 against Dan Herron.
I suddenly flash back to Lindsey Nelson in Notre Dame football, and we move ahead to further action in the second inning. We move ahead one hitter.
Well, we were talking about Notre Dame earlier.
Yes, we were.
Pollock and David Phelps.
And Hill takes a strike. But Hill's a guy. He's at 323 against Herron, and he has more at bats than anybody, 31. Pollock, Owings, the other two guys to look for in this lineup. Hill has always been a professional hitter, hasn't he?
He's had a very good career. Of course, a high point for him. He was an all-star a few years ago, 09. But in 2012, I always think this is amazing because the Marlins have never had a hitter hit for the cycle. Aaron Hill did it twice within a couple of weeks in 2012.
And Hill fouls it back, counts 2-2. And it all started for him in Visalia, California, the Central Valley of California. He ended up at LSU and was the SEC Player of the Year.
That's an interesting move, a transition from there to LSU.
Counts 2-2. Tomas still at first. He bluffs, and Herron misses low. Count full 3-2.
See if Chip Hale with one out has Tomas on the move. They have a few guys that'll run a little bit. Goldschmidt has 6 steals. We talked about Enciarte and Pollock.
Not running. Bouncer up the middle. Gordon has it. Flips. The turn by Echeverria is in time. And a 4-6-3 double play for Dan Herron wipes out the Snakes in the seconds. In Miami, a 4-gamer starts tonight. The Dan Jennings era starts tonight. And so far, it's scoreless. It's a fan favorite. It's Email Twitter Tuesday. And tomorrow night at 6:30, you have a chance to ask questions. And certainly there are probably a few topics you might want to broach tomorrow night.
I would think so.
Twitter and Instagram at Fox Marlins. Email foxmarlins@gmail.com.
And as always, Rich, we'll do our best.
Here's Justin Bohr. And he pulls a ground ball to second. 2 hops for Aaron Hill. Flip to first. If you're just joining us, the Marlins lineup has a new look for a couple of reasons. One, there's a new manager. And Jennings wanted to switch things around a little bit, break up the lefty-righties in the lineup. Number 2, Marcell Ozuna is not with the ball club tonight. He is out with a family issue. And there's the jersey from his teammates.
His teammates showing some nice support with his jersey in the dugout.
And so because of that, you have Bohr in the cleanup spot and Real Muto promoted up to the 5 spot.
And I think you and I were talking about this before the game. I think instead of having Ichiro behind Yelich and Echeverria in that number 8 spot, Dan Jennings wanted to mix up the lefties. He didn't want 2 lefties together.
Up the middle, Aaron Hill has 2 ground balls to him here in the second. What do we know about Ruby De La Rosa?
Well, we talked a little bit about it, and we've seen some of it. The fastball is there. Good changeup. Sometimes, and it's interesting, sometimes too many strikes. He becomes very hittable. And what we didn't add on there is that his grandmother was Pedro Martinez's nanny. We didn't put that on the scouting report.
Here is Yelich. Well, it helped later in life when Pedro Martinez helped tutor him.
Yes.
Spent time with him after Tommy John surgery. Yelich bangs one to left, hits it well. Inciarte back, reaches, can't get it. Over his head and off the wall. That has to feel good for Christian Yelich. And in just $1.78, sends one to the wall, a 2-out double.
Well, it's been a struggle, 4 for 28 since his return. But when you see Christian Yelich hit a ball this way, drive it the way he did, got it just off the glove of Inciarte for the double. You see him hit a ball like that, that's a great sign.
He is a key component for the Marlins to get back on their feet and get back to 500. Not just Yelich, there's a lot of other guys, but if he can revert back to his 2014 form, that would be a big boost. Now Echeverria enjoying a fine season at the plate and out at shortstop. Reaches out and pokes it right to De La Rosa. The Marlins are done in the second. A double by Yelich, the first hit for the Fish. Scoreless, Arizona and Miami.
A different avenue to arrive in this chair. And as I said, I've considered myself a baseball man. There are other people who have ascended to general manager that arrive at different ways as well.
So far, he looks the part. He looks comfortable. Mike Goff by his side. Scoreless game in the top of the third. As Dan Herron goes to work against the Diamondbacks' Chris Owings in a scoreless game. And I would expect the last 24 hours have not been easy at the start. But a new day today. Michael Hill joins us now, president of baseball operations. What's it been like for you starting with yesterday, leading into where we are right now in the third inning?
Well, it's always difficult when you have to make a managerial change, and Red it's been a Marlin for a number of years, so to make that decision was definitely not taken lightly, and to make the decision to put DJ into that role was also a difficult decision to arrive at. But I think today, as we entered a new era, the Dan Jennings era, I think we all feel very good where things are headed.
Giancarlo Stanton runs it down. For Dan Jennings, were you in the clubhouse when he talked to the team?
That was his time, and he and I spent time with the coaching staff. We wanted to make sure that the messages we wanted to send to our coaching staff, but that time with the players, that was his time, and I wanted to respect that. This is a new relationship that he is forging with our players, and that time was important to him to be on his own, to be with them, because he is now their leader in the dugout, and that was something that he was very important to him.
It's an interesting relationship now too, because all the players see Dan Jennings and have seen him with the coat and tie and the Tommy Bahama shirts in another position, in a front office position. Hopefully that went well if you talk to him afterwards with the way they see him now as their leader.
Well, the one thing about it, as we got the pop out to Bohr there, he had that relationship prior. And I think that was a big part of us installing him as the manager, is the fact that he had nurtured and fostered relationships with this 25-man roster. So when you look to make that change, that was important in the process of identifying the manager, of someone who had knowledge of our roster, who understood how we put it together, what our expectations were of the roster. And on top of that, had relationships existing. He didn't have to come in fresh and relearn, who threw a slider, who threw a cutter, who was having trouble against a changeup. He already knew all of those things. And I think as we made the change, that was something that was important to all of us.
So it was key to you and the folks who made that decision to not go outside and find somebody who didn't know all those things.
That's exactly right. As we got the strikeout there to end the inning.
Well, you ought to come by more often. We're going to ask you
to stay for another half inning.
The bottom of the third. That's a 1-2-3 inning.
I'll stay as long as you need me.
Scoreless ball game here. Kids eat free. That kid is eating right now and enjoying every minute of it. Every child 12 and under on Wednesday with a ticket will get a coupon for a free KMB Frank bag of Frito-Lay chips, small Pepsi, or Aquafina water. Get your tickets. Kids eat free on Wednesday. Marlins.com, snakes and fish. Michael Hill, president of baseball operations, joins us. Now there's a shot of Giancarlo Stanton. For this to work in the clubhouse, you don't have to have all 25 guys buy in. You have to have key guys buy in. Would you agree to that?
I would say you should have 25.
You might not, though. But if you have the key guys buy in. If you have the
key guys buy in, then you're going to be successful. And if you win games, you're going to be successful. And I think that's the most important part with this one is, there's still supreme belief in this roster and this team. And we've underperformed. There's no secret we've underperformed to this point. And as I said yesterday, when you have to make a change, we all need to look in the mirror. And I need to look in the mirror, and our players need to look in the mirror, because we know what they're capable of doing. And we just haven't done that to this point on a consistent basis. And we know we're capable of doing it. And it's up to DJ now to try to get that out of them so that we can perform at the level we believe that we're capable of doing.
We haven't talked as much, certainly, about Rob Leary, who was let go with Mike Redmond. Tell us a little bit about Mike Goff, who is the bench coach now for DJ.
Well, Goffey was in his first year with us as our advanced scout, so intimate knowledge of all of the teams at the major league level, but a very accomplished baseball man, has been through the ranks in the minor leagues, has been on a major league bench before, serving as a first base coach and a bench coach. So it's not foreign to him to be in this major league environment. And as DJ contemplated taking this position, it was a must that Mike Goff was at his side, and because he brought those things to complement DJ and to be that stabilizing force next to him at his right hand to help him make those tough decisions.
Ichiro to left, and it's in there for a hit. And a leadoff single in the bottom of the third. Inciarte got a glove on it, but Ichiro continues to perform. You have to be absolutely thrilled with what you've been able to get from this future Hall of Famer.
When we envisioned signing him, the thought would be, no matter when we put him in the lineup, you knew you were going to get a great effort, and you were going to get a Hall of Fame player who could step right in. So you hope you wouldn't miss a beat. And it's unfortunate that Yelich had to go on a DL with his back, but we were very fortunate that we had Ichiro who could step right in. And similarly, like tonight, Marcell Ozuna with a personal emergency that he had to take care of. That DJ, that manager, feels a lot better knowing that he can write the future Hall of Famer's name down to put into the lineup.
Dan Herron, accomplished with the bat, takes a fastball in.
Let's see, if you count his Japanese totals and U.S. totals for Ichiro, that's hit number 4,150.
That's a lot.
Incredible.
He is truly amazing to watch.
Did you see the shot in the dugout when he was putting the tie over DJ?
And that's what I meant by having key players buy in. And as Herron drops it down, De La Rosa is going to go to first. To me, it's significant that it was Ichiro that was the guy that brought the tie out and put it on Dan Jennings, because I'm telling you this, Mike, when he was in Seattle, he never would have done this to Lou Piniella.
No, and that just speaks, we talk about installing the manager and what that means. For me, as I arrived at this decision, as we arrived at this decision, it was more the person as much as anything. And DJ has those relationships with our players. So to think that you get that buy-in, it's not far-fetched to believe that those relationships already exist and that there's automatically a buy-in because they know who he is, they know what he is about, they know how badly he wants this team to be successful.
D. Gordon almost snuck that one by Paul Goldschmidt, and it moves Ichiro to third. He resides there with 2 outs, and Martin Prado, the hitter.
Quickly, some guys on the DL. Latest status with Jose?
Jose is progressing. He has a live BP this Wednesday. So he'll have a live BP facing hitters up in Jupiter on Wednesday, and he's hit all of his markers. And as I've always said, we're cautiously optimistic. Never want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but he is on schedule and on pace, and we couldn't be happier.
Jeff Mathis, Donnie Kelly. What's the latest on them?
Jeff Mathis, the hand is improving. Saw him actually swinging a bat in the cage today. So we're hopeful in the next, I would say, week to 10 days, we might be able to get him out on rehab. Donnie Kelly, his finger is healing, but around the same time that he had the finger injury, his arm, he had an arm flare up. And so we've been letting the arm heal and rest. And when that is good to go, then we'll start to resume the throwing portion of his return to play program. But the majority of our guys are getting healthier and closer to returning to play.
Matt Latos, I know that the ball he took in the ankle, is he fit enough to make his next start?
He is fit enough to make his next start. No issues with him. A nice little bruise that he had on his ankle, but the x-rays were negative, and he's weight bearing now, and no issues. Resumed through his bullpen, and he's ready to go.
Prado, a smash. Tomas has it across the diamond in time. And a nice play by the Cuban third baseman, Yasmani Tomas. Isn't it nice to be playing baseball after the last 24 hours that you've had?
Exactly. This is always the escape to watch us play, and hopefully we'll watch a nice Marlin win tonight.
Michael, thanks for the visit.
Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure, guys.
As always.
Thank you.
Michael Hill, Marlins president of baseball operations. Audience from a lot of different places watching this game just to see the first game for a guy that's never managed, and Dan Jennings. And a scoreless game right now. Bunt attempts, Ender Inciarte. He fouls it off. A.J. Pollock, Paul Goldschmidt will follow.
Oh, the Marlins, Rich, just trying to get on the scoreboard. Last time they scored was on Saturday.
That one smoked up the middle into center field, and Inciarte has a base hit. 24-year-old Venezuelan is aboard. We check in with Craig Minervini. Craig.
Rich, an interesting press conference today from Dan Jennings. His mother asked him, are you crazy leaving what you had to take this position? We mentioned the quote from his father, can't be afraid to win, got to go after it. And his father also is still a football coach to this day, 77 years of age, defensive coordinator at a high school in Alabama. And Dan told me he asked his dad during the process of thinking about this decision, whether he had any regrets at all that he never went to college or tried the NFL but stayed in the high school ranks for all these years. And his father said he had to make a decision, the family decision or the professional decision, moving all over the place, and he decided to go with the family and the easier spot in high school, where he continues to this day. And so that had a little impact on Dan Jennings, who decided, if you will, roll the dice here and go after this challenge. Left a convenient job. Maybe he'll return someday to it, maybe right here. But right now he's going to enjoy this opportunity to manage in the big leagues.
His wife watching. She was introduced at the press conference today.
Exciting for his wife, Lori. She has seen a lot of hats that Dan Jennings has worn.
A.J. Pollock lifts it in the air to Christian Yelich in left. And there's one out here in the 4th inning. Meanwhile, back on the diamond, which is, as we said goodbye to Michael Hill, a reminder that so much of the focus for the Marlins in the last 24 hours has been off of the diamond. Dan Herron has been sharp. His last time out, Hut, was a bump in the road, a rather large one. Dodgers beat him 11-1.
Now, the Dodgers have done that to a few pitchers.
But Herron had won his 3 starts previous to that against the Giants, the Nationals, and the suddenly hot Phillies.
Now, we talked about his 3-year stint with Arizona. 2 of those years, Dan Herron an all-star in 08 and 09.
Paul Goldschmidt, Herron a throw over. The one red flag for Herron, and certainly it's in play with Goldschmidt at the plate. This is his 8th start. He's given up 8 home runs. And the majority of the runs he's given up have been via the long ball. Struck Goldschmidt out on an 88-mile-an-hour fastball back in the 1st.
Well, the other plus for Dan Herron, his last 3 starts, no walks.
Into the bat, diving stop, Gordon, backwards flip, safe at second, and safe at first. And for Dan Jennings, this might be his first replay challenge here. Echeverria, Gordon, and Prado are both looking into the dugout. The Marlins' Pat Shine will take a look at it in the replay room, and here's our first peek at it.
Watch how D. Gordon flips it over his shoulder. And I think if there's any little mistake that Echeverria makes, he doesn't go out and get it like a first baseman. That's close. He tries to turn the double play. He's so athletic, and we've seen so many spectacular plays. Echeverria thinks he can get the double play there, as opposed to just trying to make sure to get the out.
All right, we saw 2 looks. The first one was inconclusive. The Marlins will not challenge.
Good slide, very good slide by Inciarte.
And the Diamondbacks have runners at first and second. Yasmani Tomas at the plate. Tomas cranks one in the gap, left center field. Ichiro on the run, not going to get it. This could score 2. Inciarte and Goldschmidt right behind him. And Yasmani Tomas, his 3rd double in the big leagues. Arizona has a 2-0 lead.
Well, we saw Tomas first time up, line one into right field for a base hit. This time he finds that gap in left center. So accomplished he is at finding all the fields. Hits this ball really well. A hanging slider, he was all over.
The Diamondbacks have their first runs in a couple of days. They were shut out just like Miami, 6-0 yesterday. That one fouled back and out of play. Going back to that play at second, we saw 2 looks at it. The first look inconclusive. Second look was close. You saw the reaction up the middle of Gordon and Echeverria. The one thing we've learned, that players' reaction doesn't always equate to a correct challenge. High pop. It's Gordon.
Which, Rich, is another interesting aspect for Dan Jennings taking over managing for the first time. The replay.
Well, and it's I mean, to be noted, whether you're Dan Jennings or Chip Hale or whoever, what the replay room sees is different from what the players see. And Pat Shinedown there has to determine, is there a look that is conclusive enough to overturn it with the risk of losing your challenge here in the 4th inning in a tight ball game? Aaron Hill with Tomas at second. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. One and two. Diamondbacks on the board first. Check swing. He went around, and a strikeout of Aaron Hill. But Arizona, a 2-run double from Yosmani Tomas. It's 2-0. By Checkers. Get Checkers Authentic Philly Cheesesteak or try the new Meatball Sub. Pick yours. By Subaru of Pembroke Pines. Price, service, selection. You're gonna love us. And by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. 2-0. Arizona on top. Bottom 4. The Diamondbacks have drawn first blood in what is a 4-game series, which has drawn certainly a lot of interest from around baseball. Giancarlo Stanton leads it off. Justin Bour, JT Realmuto will follow. Stanton pops it up. Back behind third. Tomas and Owings. It's Owings who calls for it and makes the catch. One out here in the 4th inning. South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for tomorrow night's game with Marlins Live. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine. Yes, email and Twitter Tuesday. Former Ray Jeremy Hellickson, Jared Cozart. Certainly a lot to talk about tomorrow night, wouldn't you think? Bour saw one pitch and bounced it to second. He saw one pitch yesterday and ruined a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th.
It's always frustrating when you have a guy who's thrown a lot of first pitch fastball strikes, and if you go after that first pitch and make an out, in a way, you're helping him out. Stanton went after the first pitch. You knew that Bohr was going to see first pitch fastball, which he did, but he really had to take it to make De La Rosa pitch a little bit.
This is a good test for Bohr because of the changeup pitch that he misses with there. As Frank Menechino has told us, one of the things Bohr really worked on in spring training and bought in on is driving the ball to left field and left center. Menechino told him, if you want to play in the big leagues and have success, you have to be able to hit the opposite way. And not only did he buy in, but it allowed him to get to the big leagues. He was called up and stick by hitting in the starting lineup and hitting as a pinch hitter.
Takes a strike. And we've seen him drive a number of balls into left field for base hits.
(3-2). And there's that changeup, and that's why this is such a test for young Justin Bohr.
Well, it also shows you the confidence that Ruby De La Rosa has in that changeup, throwing it 3-2. Yeah, the challenge tonight actually for both clubs. Arizona comes in, they've lost 4 in a row. The Marlins have lost 3 in a row. So both clubs have been struggling.
JT Realmuto. Bounce to second in the second. Diamondbacks were in Philly. Marlins in the middle of a homestand here. Baltimore is in this coming weekend. Realmuto to center, hits it well. Pollock with a lot of room back there, runs it down and makes the catch. And Ruby De La Rosa looked sharp. This game already in the 5th, 2-0 Arizona. Randy Johnson on this date became the oldest pitcher to throw a perfect game, the only perfect game in Diamondbacks history. He was 40. There's Bob Brenly, who's now in the broadcast booth. The manager, Mark Grace, now the assistant hitting coach, a former teammate.
Yeah, Mark Grace along with Turner Ward, two hitting coaches with Arizona. All right, I got a question for you. Watching Randy Johnson there.
All right.
Along with Craig Biggio this year, Randy Johnson, John Smoltz, Pedro Martinez going in the Hall of Fame. You have a Game 7. Who do you want to throw in that Game 7 of those three?
Little tapper to short. Echeverria, quick snap throw in time. Well, how many of them pitched in a Game 7 of the World Series? John Smoltz did start against Jack Morris and pitched quite well.
I believe Randy Johnson did too in Arizona, 6 or 7. Could have been Schilling.
Well, that's a great question.
That's a good one to ponder, because you know what, you really can't go wrong whoever you pick.
Tuffy go switch. Diamondbacks catcher. Who would you start then?
I would go with Randy Johnson because of the intimidation factor. Not to mention the kind of stuff he did.
Heron misses outside. Two and one. I go Smoltz. That one's hit pretty well. Ichiro's not going to get it. It's into the triangle. Bounces out of there. Ichiro picks it up. And Tuffy Gosewich, who seems to have come to life ever since the Diamondbacks signed Jared Saltalamacchia to a minor league contract. Suddenly the Diamondbacks catcher has come to life. Major League Baseball coming back on Fox Sports 1 this Saturday. The Brewers and the Braves at 3:30 Eastern, 7 Eastern. It's baseball night in America. And guess what? The Marlins and the Orioles are that feature game at 7 o'clock on Saturday. It all starts at 3:30 Eastern. When you're home for baseball every Saturday, Fox and Fox Sports 1. De La Rosa's bunt. And the throw into the line. Gordon there to catch it, hold it for the out. Ender Inciarte up, 2 outs, runner at third base.
And Rich, I think you're right on Gosewich. The last 10 games came into this game hitting over 350. I looked at their AAA roster in Reno. Jared Saltalamacchia has played a couple of games. He's 1 for 7, so he hasn't had a lot of playing time yet. But 1 base hit, 7 at bats.
Inciarte has bounced out, singled, and scored. And Heron misses down low with a breaking ball. While the Marlins have scuffled of late, the Mets sit at 22 and 16, and they lead the Cardinals halfway through in New York, 1-0.
Well, it's a nice pitching matchup.
On a hop, Gordon's got it, stays on his feet and gets the out. And the runner is stranded at third.
Forget about that pitching matchup in New York. That's a nice play.
top of the world to start the game. Right now, at the bottom of a 2-0 score. And this is a cruel game, and in 9 innings time for Dan Jennings. He steps on a big league diamond for the first time. His ball club down right now. Diamondbacks 2 runs on 5 hits. Miami has just 2 hits, including Christian Yelich, who doubled back in the second. Ruby De La Rosa with a changeup that misses out. Yelich, Danny Echeverria, and Ichiro in the 5th. De La Rosa, with this 2-0 lead, is probably thinking to himself, well, what's up here? Usually, my team scores in double digits. His last 2 starts combined, the Diamondbacks have scored 25 runs for him. 14-6 win in his last start against Washington, and an 11-0 win against San Diego. He went 7 shutout innings in that Padres win.
It was actually signed out of the Dominican by the Dodgers back in '07. Spent a little time with the Dodgers and a little time with Boston.
Had Tommy John surgery end of 2011, missed 2012. Red Sox with 13 and 14. And a long wait. Yelich steps out. That's strike 3 called. Yelich rung up. Four strikeouts for De La Rosa.
You know, I think one of the real oddities of the timing of the managerial change was that in '03, when Jeff Torborg was let go in favor of Jack McKeon, the Marlins had the exact same record, 16 and 22.
Echeverria lays it down. De La Rosa off the mound and just gets Echeverria by a step.
Well, there it is, May 10th. So not too much difference in the dates, but the exact same record. Of course, we all know what happened in '03. Jack McKeon came in. He said, you know, you have to manage the way you manage. Don't try to copy anybody. Don't try to imitate anybody. Manage the way you manage, because sooner or later you're going to get fired anyway.
Ichiro lifts it towards the line. Inciarte, it falls in fair territory. And Ichiro's got himself another hit.
It's amazing. Put the bat on the ball and something positive has a chance to happen. 2 for 2 tonight for Ichiro. He has Inciarte running all over the place. Not sure where to play him. His base hit back in the 3rd. Inciarte was diving for it. It was off his glove. That one he couldn't get to. Ichiro now has played in all 39 games.
Dan Herron is swinging and a miss. So 3 hits for Miami. Prepare for Ichiro. Herron can do some damage. Career 200 hitter as a pitcher. But right now, De La Rosa just bringing the heat. And he's thrown a couple by him.
Dan with a couple of career home runs on that resume.
And he strikes out. Miami done in the 5th. Ichiro left at first. Right now, Ruby De La Rosa on top 2-0. Hall of Fame. There's Gonzo and Gracie. Crazy 8 Wednesday coming up. Diamondbacks 7-10 on Wednesday against the Marlins. Bring your Chevron receipt of 8 gallons of gas or more. Bring it to Marlins Park. Get your choice of an $18 Lexus Legend level ticket or $28 home plate box seat.
There's an interesting note in the Diamondbacks notes on this date, 1999, concerning Luis Gonzalez.
He made a, let me guess. He made a clubhouse attendant dress up as a cartoon character.
Now, that's possible because it was a big night for him. He went 3 for 5 and extended his hitting streak to a D-backs club record 30 consecutive games.
First pitch swing, A.J. Pollock in the air to center field. Ichiro is there, and he makes the catch. When Gonzo was a Marlin, and it was only for a year, one of the things that he was really good at was surprising the entire team when they'd show up for a game. Gonzo would drop some coin, so to speak, on the Marlins clubhouse attendant. The clubhouse would be decorated, whether it was Cinco de Mayo or any other holiday. Gonzo,
now a special assistant to the president and CEO of the Diamondbacks.
Gonzo was the life of the party, and he also orchestrated the greatest rookie dress-up hazing I've ever witnessed in Major League Baseball.
Is that the one in New York?
It was the one in New York. It was the subway ride from Shea, get out at Times Square, and the Marlins at that point had like 16 guys dressed up. And for Gonzo, he spared no expense. He went to like a costume place or sent someone to a costume place, and everybody was dressed up as either a superhero, a cartoon character, a fruit from the Fruit of the Loom.
Was it Josh Johnson, Dan Uggla?
Well, Uggla was the rat. Ricky Nolasco was dressed up as Burger King.
John Baker
was
involved.
A superhero, right? Thor or something like that? Captain America.
I think it was Captain America, yes.
Yes.
Hey, Gonzo texted me the other night after D. Gordon nearly killed me in one of those post-game interviews. And he reminded me, guys, and you'll remember this, do you need any more jelly beans in the clubhouse? Do you remember what he used to do?
They were vomit flavored,
yeah,
right?
he would combine. There was few of them were, you know, cherry and orange, and then the others were diaper, rash, and pencil flavored. And then the other great one, he went through all these this incredible thing on a Sunday morning. He brought donuts in and literally took the jelly out of the jelly donuts and put in mustard. And then he'd cover the outside with jelly, and he turned his head, and wouldn't you know it, Mr. Loria came up and just about bit into what looked like a delicious Sunday jelly donut. But he stopped him.
That's a high fly ball. Ichiro tracking, and he calls off Yelich. and makes the catch. Ichiro is still getting used to that center field.
Well, yeah, but he's out there. He's saying, I haven't had a chance to play center field too much. I'm the captain out here. I get to take charge, so I'm going to take charge and make that play, even though Christian Yelich could have made it easily. But good communication.
And Yelich is kind of in the same situation because Yelich can play some center field and has played in the big leagues, but not a lot. Ichiro spent most of his time in the big leagues in right field. So Dan Herron has the first 2 outs of the 6th. And Yasmani Tomas, who did the damage in the 4th with a 2-run double, is up.
Yeah, good night so far for Yasmani Tomas, 2 for 2.
Right to D. Gordon. And a 1-2-3 inning for the Diamondbacks. D. Gordon, top of the order, leads it off 2-0 Arizona. Enter for a chance to win a trip to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Fox. You and 3 of your friends upload 2 photos. FoxSports.com/fantasticalstar. Wow, that's a long one. Now through June 3rd. FoxSports.com/fantastical Fantastic All-Star. It's all one big long thing on the card. Here's D. Gordon. He fouls it back to the screen. Martin Prado, Giancarlo Stanton right behind him. Martin Prado, top of the order, has been held in check. Ruby De La Rosa has been outstanding 1 through 5, and Gordon lifts it in the air. A.J. Pollock is there and makes the catch. So 0 for 11 from D. Gordon down to J.T. Realmuto.
Hey, you're right. The double by Yelich and the 2 singles by Ichiro.
Prado's flied out, bounced out. Lined into right field. That's a base hit. Here comes Giancarlo Stanton. Time now for the T-Mobile Game Changer. We talked about these 2 matching up. Their numbers very, very similar. 109 home runs Paul Goldschmidt. This is since 2012 when Goldschmidt came into the league.
Very close in slugging percentage, and absolutely right. This 4-game series, a couple of game changers on hand every day.
Now Stanton. Fastball, a strike. Struck out in the first, popped out in the fourth. Justin Bour is on deck. Prado's at first with 1 out. De La Rosa came right back in.
Yeah, 2 fastballs in a row to Stanton. Marlins won 4 out of 7 from the Diamondbacks last year.
In the dirt, and it's 2-1. De La Rosa looks like the guy that's won his last 2 starts. He looks like the guy that threw 7 shutout innings against the Padres and then beat the Nationals in his last start. Stanton, a hot smash to third. Tomas gets it out there, and the relay is in time. Hill turns it, and the Diamondbacks end the Marlins 6th just like that. Ruby De La Rosa is shutting out the fish. It's 2-0 Arizona.
That the 26th man is the manager. The manager is not more important. And as I said, managers can only lose games, the players win them.
And thus the number 26, the choice for Dan Jennings. Last time he was in uniform, Dan Jennings was a single-A player in the Yankees organization. He was there for just part of a season, playing his college ball at Southern Miss. Mark Trumbo, Aaron Hill, and Chris Owings. Dan Herron has been sharp every inning save the fourth, and that was Yasmani Tomas with a 2-run double to left. Herron gave up 3 of the 5 hits in that inning.
I remember one of those hits, an infield hit by Goldschmidt up the middle. Remember that spectacular try by D. Gordon. Talked about the matchup in New York. Mets hosting the Cardinals. Matt Harvey, John Lackey. 1-0 Mets. Harvey through 6 innings, 9 strikeouts. 4 hits, no runs.
Two foul back. Trumbo, you'll remember, an Angel coming up, a guy that grew up going to games in Orange County. Spent 3 years with the Angels, averaged 32 homers and 93 driven in. Almost won Rookie of the Year. He was second to his now teammate Jeremy Hellickson. Stanton runs it down. And Dan Herron has retired 5 straight. Aaron Hill in the box. Of course, Hellickson, as we noted, gets the start tomorrow against Jared Kozar. 6:30 for Marlins Live. Here's Hill. Bounced into a double play and struck out. Hill left field, and Yelich is there and makes the catch. I'm not sure if that was Hill or where that came from, but we apologize for that. 2 outs. A night in Havana. It's powered by South Florida Ford, and it's Friday night. Baltimore is here. 7:10 start. Purchase the Night in Havana package at marlins.com/special events. Get a ticket, a Havana Sugar Kings t-shirt, and more. Post-game fireworks show is presented by Corona Lights. That one popped up. Chris Owings sends it out D. Gordon's way. And Dan Herron, after giving up the 2 runs in the 4th, has been very, very sharp. 2-0 Arizona.
Before the game, Dan Jennings spent a lot of time with Michael Morse and reiterated to us, hey, that's his first baseman. We've got to get him back on track. But Justin Bourne may get some more playing time. He's deserved it. He does not swing a very large bat, average by standards. But before the game, he warms up with this piece of rebar. It's 50 pounds. And Bourne said to me, why don't you swing it? Makes his bat feel almost like a wiffle ball. So Lenny Harris handed it to me. And let me tell you, It really is. I practically pulled my back when I took a swing with this thing. But Board said he feels really good when he goes up after swinging this. He often will do it before the game. Certainly does it several times in BP, almost before every session. I'm telling you, that is a lot heavier than the old donut we used to put on our bats, guys.
Did you have to ice down after that, Craig?
Seriously, I think he wanted to see what would break down after I swung that. I couldn't believe how heavy it was. 50 pounds. And he does it virtually before every time he goes up. And he feels like it makes that bat a little quicker. Gives that light feeling that's been done for years in baseball, but maybe not with heavy rebar like that one.
I'll tell you a funny story. Years ago, Willie Stargell used to have a sledgehammer in the on-deck circle that he would swing.
Justin Bour, JT Realmuto, and Christian Yelich. Ruby De La Rosa has been outstanding for the Diamondbacks tonight. Marlins have just 4 hits.
Yesterday, Rich, Shelby Miller threw 6 innings. Threw only 63 pitches. De La Rosa tonight threw his 6 innings, 64 pitches.
.97 miles an hour with that fastball for De La Rosa. Bour busts his bat, but dumps it into right center field for a hit. Leadoff single here in the 7th. Here comes JT Realmuto. Chevron brings you tomorrow's starters. Talked about Jeremy Hellickson. Jared Cozart will get the start for Miami. Both guys at 1 and 3. Both guys with like a lop a few runs off of that ERA. Now Realmuto was bounced to second, flied to center. I think for JT Realmuto, Jeff Mathis in the span of 24 hours just became an even more important figure in his baseball life, because he had a manager and a bench coach who were both outstanding catchers in terms of instruction. Mike Redmond in the big leagues, Rob Leary, a catching instructor for a long time. They're both gone now, and you're a rookie catcher. But having Mathis around is just as good as having a guy like Leary or a guy like Redmond, a guy that's been in the big leagues a long time, specialized as a defensive catcher, and is willing to teach the youngster. Realmuto to left. He hit it deep. Back goes Inciarte. Gone! JT Realmuto. And this game is tied.
Boy, that's nice to see, and you're absolutely right about what JT said. Nice to have a manager that played my position, but we've still got guys like Mathis to help me out.
First career homer is a big one.
You knew it would come. And what a nice time for JT Realmuto to go deep first as a big leaguer.
There is Yelich. And Yelich takes down low. First in the big leagues, a breaking ball, and he clobbered it.
He hasn't thrown many sliders. Ruby De La Rosa. He's featured a live fastball and some good changeups. The slider there was taken care of by Realmuto.
That just got over and into Arizona's bullpen. One and one to Yelich. Soft grounder to short. Owings around it, and he just gets Yelich by less than a step.
you're a shortstop, you get a ball in that area and you have a guy like Christian Yelich running, you know you have to do everything just right.
Echeverria now is lined out trying to bunt for a hit. De La Rosa pours across the strike. Arizona's bullpen, there is some activity. Miami's bullpen has activity with the pitcher spot a couple hitters away.
Well, this is that area any manager, and certainly for someone like Dan Jennings in the hot seat for the first time. Last inning, he had to start thinking ahead. The lineup, where the pitcher was going to hit, who would he use in the bullpen, who's coming up for the Diamondbacks.
So there are 2 outs. You see it's Mike Dunn in Miami's pen. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Well, anytime you mention tying Babe Ruth in a record, pretty neat. And with the 2 hits here in this ball game, guys, Ichiro has tied Babe Ruth with 2,873 hits for 42nd all time. One more hit, he surpasses him, and he's only 3 back of Mellott. And I heard a lot about Mellott going up. He was my dad's favorite from the New York Giants. 2876 up next at number 41.
And the amazing thing, Craig, is that Ichiro is just in his 15th year in the big leagues. 2 for 2, a couple singles in the 8th spot tonight for Dan Jennings in his first game as Miami's manager.
No, we talked about it the other day. Just incredible for Ichiro when he came over from Japan. His first 10 years, he had over 200 hits a season.
That one in the hole. Owings has to load up, and Goldschmidt got it. Picked it. Marlins may look at it. Goldschmidt lunged towards the ball. The question was whether he kept his foot on the bag.
Well, we've talked about Goldschmidt. He is a Gold Glove winner. He's an all-round player, and Ichiro is out.
He is out. But the Marlins are even. A rookie catcher hits his first homer in the big leagues, and it's a big one. It ties the game at 2. First day on the job for Dan Jennings, our H.H. Gregg high-def highlights.
Well, it came down from the front office, Ichiro said. You might want a tie. And then it's a good matchup. De La Rosa, Dan Herron. In the 4th inning, though, off Dan Herron, nice hitting by Yosmani Tomas, who picks up 2 RBIs, and just like that put the Diamondbacks ahead 2-0. But it didn't take long for the Marlins to tie it. A slider, first home run of his career. JT Real Muto tied it with a 2-run shot.
And of course, there are no ties in baseball. It's 2-2 in the 8th. Herron is out for the 8th inning. He was poised to leave had the Marlins inning progressed any further. Ichiro bounced out. Herron was due up next. But he's got Tuffy Gosewich. Takes a strike.
We'll see how Chip Hale plays it. He has his pitcher De La Rosa in the on-deck circle. I would imagine if Gosewich gets on base, he'd have De La Rosa sacrifice him over. And if he doesn't get on base, he may let him hit. He may pinch hit.
You just don't find too many games where you get to the 8th inning and one pitcher has 91 pitches, the other has 82. Bouncer in the hole at short. Echeverria backhands and throws him out. One out in the 8th. Toyota Trend. We talked about in the National League the 2 best fielding percentages for team defense, and you've got them here in this series. Miami's made just 14 errors. Arizona's made 16. No errors by either side tonight. And Ruby De La Rosa is going to hit, drives it right center. Ichiro on patrol, makes the catch.
Boy, we've seen Ichiro range into left center a long way to make the grab. This time into right center. Look at the concentration. Had it all the way. They saw that nice pick by Goldschmidt last inning. He has not committed an error at first base so far this year.
I think people sometimes gloss over the fact that he won a Gold Glove back in 2013. He is a complete player. Inciarte now.
Assistant hitting coach Mark Grace, his eyes light up when you talk to him about Paul Goldschmidt.
Ball and a strike. Inciarte, the Venezuelan, a rookie last year, and it was second in the Rookie of the Year voting. With Jacob deGrom of the Mets won that award. Mike Goff getting the attention of a Marlin outfielder. Brett Butler and Goff both chatting it up. Now, one of the things about Brett Butler in this series in particular, he knows a lot of these Arizona players quite well. He managed in the Diamondbacks organization for some time at the AAA level. And Dan Herron says, hey, you want another inning out of me? You got it. No problem. 1, 2, 3. He strikes out Inciarte. Miami and Arizona 2-2.
as a possibility that they wanted to pursue. I let them know that the only way I would even consider is if Goffey were the bench coach. That's how much confidence I have in him.
Mike Goff, the aforementioned Goffey, Marlins' new bench coach. Donovan Solano pinch hitting. There is Goff, who was the bench coach in Seattle.
A little bit for John McLaren when he was managing the Mariners.
Breaking ball and a strike. Solano pinch hitting in the pitcher spot. So Dan Herron goes 8, gives up 2 runs on 5 hits. D. Gordon, Martin Prado, and if anybody gets on, Giancarlo Stanton. And Ruby De La Rosa still in there right now. For the Diamondbacks, Solano lines it to right. Trumbo is there, and he makes the catch. MLB at bats. You gotta, if you're a baseball fan and you've got a mobile device or an immobile device, you need MLB at bat. Download the app at MLB.com/@bats. Highlights, look-ins, live look-ins, radio broadcasts, statcasts, replays, all of that. And a pitch tracking widget will throw that in as well. Here's Gordon. Frustrating night for him. He's 0 for 3. He hasn't had many nights like this year.
He's had a nice career and certainly a lot of games against Arizona. A.J. Ramos gets loose, mainly because of his time with the Dodgers. Dodgers and the Diamondbacks in the same division. So an over 300 career average against the D-backs.
Gordon bounces that one out towards short. Owings gets the out. You have to be impressed with what you see from Ruby De La Rosa. Certainly for the Diamondbacks, who are looking for starting pitching. With all the injuries they've had, what, 3 significant Tommy John surgeries in the last year. Patrick Corbin, Bronson Arroyo, David Hernandez. Archie Bradley got hit by a line drive.
Boy, neither pitcher, Rich, has walked a batter tonight.
Prado with 2 outs. Trying to get Stanton to the plate here in the 8th. Mets lead of 1-0 is still going, and it's the 8th inning against St. Louis. Prado up the middle. Around it is Hill. Wheels it on over to first. It's a 1-2-3-8 for Ruby De La Rosa to the 9th. 2-2 Miami, Arizona. In Miami tonight, it's a 2-2 ball game in the top of the 9th. Dan Jennings managing in his first game ever. And Wouldn't you know it, he's got a tight game in the ninth. As A.J. Ramos, who, as Jennings told us before the ball game, is the closer right now, comes in a tie game, as closers do in home games, to work the top of the ninth inning.
Yeah, occasionally. I think we talked about it somewhere this year. We've seen it done in a road game. As actually here, a visiting team did it. But most of the time at home, that's the protocol. I'm sure Dan Jennings envisioned a blowout game for the Marlins, scoring 8 or 10 runs. But here he is in the ninth inning in a tie game.
You saw that shot of Mike Goff, his bench coach, and Jennings going through the lineup card and the possibilities. For the Diamondbacks, they've got 2, 3, 4 up. A.J. Pollock, Paul Goldschmidt, Yasmani Tomas. That would be a strike from A.J. Ramos, who really looked comfortable closing the ball game in Los Angeles, and then came in yesterday's 6-0 loss to Shelby Miller and pitched the ninth. Boy, he's lived right down at the bottom of the strike zone. 2 fastballs.
Yeah, I think so much of that save, picking it up in Los Angeles, just mentally got him over the hump. I can do this. He did it in front of friends and family.
Swing and a miss. Down goes Pollock. And Ramos has the first out of the ninth. AT&T Rewind, brought to you by AT&T Uverse. More live TV channels on the go than cable. This was the save in Los Angeles.
Fastball, changeup, fastball to get the 3 outs.
And JT Realmuto hugging. And you're right, his parents were there. His parents came out on the West Coast. They started in San Francisco, drove down the coast to Los Angeles. Now Goldschmidt, obviously a dangerous spot here for Ramos. You got Goldschmidt, who has 10 homers. And like Giancarlo Stanton, no park can hold him. Ramos spins in a breaking ball for a strike.
So many times you and I talk about it, Rich. You see closers around the league who maybe are 1 or 2 pitch guys. A.J. Ramos has an assortment.
Tapper out to short, and Echeverria on to first in time. I think one of the benefits, and it's a silver lining, you have to look at it that way. The struggles for Steve Cishek have not been fun for anybody, especially Cishek. The silver lining is a guy like Ramos, who closed in the minors, gets to learn how to close here. You look at the best bullpens across baseball, they don't have one closer. A lot of them have 2 closers. A guy that's an apprentice or has closed, that's pitching in that 8th inning. So the hope is that Cishek can tighten it up.
You know, the Giants with Casilla and Romo. Remember, one time Romo was the closer. Now he's back in the 8th inning.
And he was the apprentice to Brian Wilson.
And then there was Brian Wilson before that. Yeah.
You look at Kansas City's trio out of their pen. All 3 guys probably could be closing if given opportunities.
Well, years ago, it was Mariano Rivera, the 8th inning guy to John Wetland in the Yankees.
Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2. Maybe the first 3-headed monster were the Nasty Boys for Lou Piniella, Cincinnati. Watch the hand come off the bat of Tomas. One and 2. Got him. A.J. Ramos looks like
nice inning.
Looks like he's been pitching in the 9th inning his whole life. Bottom of the 9th, it's 2-2. Here comes Giancarlo. Honda dealers. In Miami tonight, Dan Jennings has taken over as Marlins manager. He's never managed a game at any level, and he finds himself in a 2-2 tie in the bottom of the ninth. Ruby De La Rosa is still in there, having thrown just 90 pitches. And the Marlins will have Giancarlo Stanton leading it off. There's your inning-by-inning total. De La Rosa looked quite comfortable and effective in the 8th. Stanton, Justin Bour, JT Realmuto, and it's Realmuto's 2-run homer that tied the game in the 7th. Stanton takes inside. Giancarlo is 0 for 3. Lines this one to left, and Ciarte is there, and he makes the catch.
Tell you what, Giancarlo, last 2 times up, hit the ball on the nose, get into that 5-4-3 double play, but stung it to third base and hit that sinking line drive hard.
There's Justin Bour now. If you think about it, of the 92 pitches that De La Rosa has thrown, 1 was a mistake, and that was the breaking ball that didn't break enough to Realmuto. Bour up the middle. Owings can pick it. He can play out there at short. And he gets the out, and De La Rosa, who needed just 8 pitches to get 3 outs in the 8th inning, has 2 outs with 3 pitches here.
That's amazing. It's something in this day and age of baseball you just don't see that often. The starter in a tie game on the road, especially in the 9th inning.
Now Realmuto. The homer was to left. It just cleared the wall and ended up in Arizona's bullpen. And he punches one to the right side. Goldschmidt is there. A 4-pitch 9th inning. And it's into extras we go. 2-2. Beef jerky all season long. Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. The Beacon Hotel, Miami landmark. Arizona and Miami 2-2, 10th inning. And Sam Dyson out of Miami's bullpen tries to answer. AJ Ramos went the 9th. Dan Herron went 8th. Ruby De La Rosa has gone the distance for the Diamondbacks.
And here's the amazing thing about that, Rich. There's no activity right now in the Diamondback bullpen.
They had a reliever up briefly before the inning ended.
94 pitches. If they're isn't out, recorded. You know, he may go back. He may see some activity out there, but right now nobody's warming up in their bullpen.
Mark Trumbo, Aaron Hill, Chris Owings. This game is in the 10th, and it's all of 2 hours old. Trumbo's 0 for 3. So 2 very nice starts. One is over, and one might be over, depending on how this inning unfolds for Arizona. You certainly have some thunder in this lineup when you've got Trumbo and Goldschmidt. Tomas, you would expect, is going to hit and do damage. The Diamondbacks play in a great hitter's park in Phoenix. It's spacious, which helps the hitters. Balls fly in the gaps. But fly is the operative word. The ball really flies there in the desert.
Yeah, it's a great place when you have a little speed and get good jumps to play center field. Both ballparks. So A.J. Pollock, who's their center fielder, used to it in Arizona as well as here.
It will be interesting to see what type of team the Diamondbacks assemble under Tony La Russa and Dave Stewart. They have some nice pieces already. Little ground ball into right field. That's a base hit. Trumbo pokes it through. And Arizona's got a base runner to start the 10th inning. Here comes Aaron Hill. Nick Ahmed is going to run. Ahmed, an infielder. He'll run for Trumbo. Let's see how Arizona plays this.
Aaron Hill can do a little bit of everything. He's got some power. Can also drop down a bunt.
Not bunting, pulls it foul.
You have the option, maybe not 0-1 now, but you have the option of hit and run.
We bounce into a double play in the second. Ball and a strike.
A lot of years, 7 years with the Blue Jays for Aaron Hill.
Ahmed is running, hit and run, and it's fouled at the plate.
So that hit and run option grew a little greater with the count 1-1. Hill not able to put it in play, but he did foul it off.
One and two. Ahmed back at first, not running. And that one bounces all the way back to the mound. Free passage on a wild, wild pitch from Sam Dyson.
Well, you think about sacrifice, you have a failed hit and run, but all of a sudden a wild pitch, and I mean a wild pitch. Tough play for JT Realmuto to get over. Never seen one, I don't think, bounce back that far.
The Diamondbacks in a good spot here. Speed at second. And strike 3 called. Big out for Dyson.
That's a big out after a wild pitch. Sam Dyson comes back. Good movement, sinking fastball right there.
Pitch number 5. Now the shortstop, Chris Owings. Chris Owings, out of Gilbert, South Carolina, committed to go to South Carolina. And of course, that's where Sam Dyson pitched. Showed bunt. It's 1-0.
Now there's activity. The veteran, the submariner, Ryan Ziegler.
A strike. Tuffy Gosewich, Arizona catcher, on deck. Dyson ready. The 1-1 coming to Owings. '94 with movement.
Boy, when Sam Dyson keeps that sinker down, he's got velocity and a lot of movement.
1-2. Just missed. It had the plate, but it looked a bit low. Now the 2-2. Got him. Well, after a runner reached second, Sam Dyson has struck out Aaron Hill and now Chris Owings.
One looking, this one swinging. You see the two seam, the sink. Made a couple of really good pitches. They've also come after that wild pitch.
Randi vision cam on that first super slow-mo look. Now Gosewich, who has doubled in 3 trips. Go ahead runs at second, 2 outs in the 10th. That's a strike. Gosewich has not homered. He has driven in 12. The catching position of such concern to the Diamondbacks that they signed Jared Saltalamacchia to a minor league deal. He's trying to get himself together in AAA.
After being designated, it was a while before he got some activity. He's at their AAA affiliate in Reno, and Saltalamacchia has played in a couple games.
1-1. Right now, Dyson is just pounding the zone with that mid-90s fastball that darts and dives and cuts and sinks. One and 2.
Let's go, Miami, let's go!
Dyson ready. 1-2 coming. He got him. Runner in scoring position and nobody out, no problem. Sam Dyson strikes out 3. Dan Jennings and his brand new ball club have a chance to walk off. Bottom of the 10th, 2-2. Arizona, Miami. There, striking out 3, ending the 10th. A.J. Ramos and Dyson have combined for 2 scoreless in support of 8 innings from Dan Herron. Brad Ziegler, the first to come out of Arizona's bullpen after 9 innings of Ruby De La Rosa. Ziegler, who has that leg kick and then the whipping action. A low ERA. Makes his 17th appearance.
And a couple of other changes for Arizona. David Peralta comes in to play left field. I would assume he'll bat 9th. Ciarte moves from left field to right field. Remember, Trumbo was pinch run for. I would imagine Peralta will hit 9th and Ziegler will hit in that Trumbo spot.
And here is Yelich, who has doubled in 3 trips. Denny Echeverria and Ichiro will follow. And Ziegler misses in. Misses away. It's 2-0.
Well, if you're thinking about it, too, Ichiro is 4 for 7 in his career against Brad Ziegler. I knew someone was thinking about that.
I'm sure they were. Steve Cishek, who is the closest thing the Marlins have to Ziegler's delivery. Cishek getting ready in Miami's bullpen. Counts 2-2. And he gets Yelich. What makes his delivery so difficult on either side of the plate?
Well, part of it, obviously, for a right-hander, it's tough to watch how he tucks. Look how high he lifts the legs. He's still hiding the ball all that time, and then he delivers from that area. But the bottom line, he still hits his spots. With all that, he makes a perfect pitch to Christian Yelich right there.
He does not deliver from as far down as Cishek does.
Yeah, it appears actually at first glance that he does. Then when you see that slow motion instant replay, not quite as far down.
Echeverry is 0 for 3. Little tapper. Tomas across the infield to get the out. And just like that, Brad Ziegler has 2 quick outs. Well, some good news for the Marlins out of New York. The Cardinals have tied that game 1-1. Mets and Cards now in the bottom of the 9th.
Well, the Cardinals picked up a run against Juris Familia. They got nothing against Matt Harvey in 8 innings.
Ichiro 2 for 3. Ziegler gets a strike.
Corey Kluber of the Indians is at it again. 5 innings, 9 strikeouts against the White Sox. Remember his last time out, he had 18 strikeouts.
And it's 0-2 in Miami center field. If you happen by late, Marcell Ozuna is not here. He left the ball club this afternoon for family reasons,
which cuts Dan Jennings' bench a little shorter.
That's why Ichiro is starting in center field, though he's hitting in the 8th spot. There's the jersey. His teammates hung it up before the start of the game. Ichiro, a sharp ground ball in the 2nd. Aaron Hill has it. This ball game's going to the 11th. 2-2 still. Season long, Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. Hi, kids. Welcome to Extra Innings. Welcome to Miami. 2-2, Diamondbacks and Marlins. A lot of storylines here tonight. The first and foremost is the first game as new manager for Dan Jennings, Marlins vice president and general manager. His bench coach, Mike Goff, who is serving as the Marlins advance scout. Goff has coaching experience in the big leagues. Sam Dyson stays in.
Nice changeup there.
He gets David Peralta to open the inning, the top of the order, Inciarte and Pollock. I guess that's where you start for storyline tonight. Then, if you want to go to the starting pitchers, they were really good. Dan Herron, 8 innings, 2 runs. Ruby De La Rosa, 9 innings, 2 runs. Diamondbacks got their first 2 runs. Their only 2 runs in the 4th. And then the Marlins, in a dramatic
tying the game.
bullpens have been really good. A.J. Ramos handled the 9th. Dyson struck out 3 in the 10th. Peralta takes down low. Peralta is really an interesting story. 2 shoulder surgeries, 3 years in the Cardinals organization as a pitcher. Because of the shoulder surgeries, couldn't pitch anymore. Decided he'd give it a shot as a position player. Pulls that one foul. And in 10 years' time, 2 positions, pitcher and outfielder, 6 different leagues, including 3 years in which he did not play during the shoulder surgeries, 2008 and 2010.
He played all over the world.
All over the place in some really obscure leagues. Here he is at 27 in the big leagues. He got there last year. And he was in the minors once Arizona signed him out of an independent league. You would think, guy gets signed out of independent ball and he's, you know, single A. He spent only 104 games in their minor leagues and he was in the big leagues.
Mainly because all he did was hit during that time.
Yeah. '88 games last year. 8 homers, 9 triples, 12 doubles. And he's got pop. Swing and a miss. Dyson, who's been throwing mid-90s to get strikes, changes up at 86.
He's thrown some really good changeups as well. We see the fastball, the two-seamer that sinks. His changeup has that kind of movement too, and is about 7 or 8 miles an hour off the fastball. Nasty.
Ender Inciarte. A.J. Pollock. Ziegler is hidden in the 5 spot in Arizona's order. And so if Chip Hale wants him out there for another inning, he'll be out there. And judging from the inactivity in the Arizona bullpen, it looks like another inning of Ziegler. Back to the mound. Dyson flips to first. There's 2 outs here in the 11th. We saw Steve Cishek throwing. He's a possibility as this game moves along.
Yeah, the last 5 2/3 innings, Arizona has 1 base hit. That was a base hit last inning that led off the 10th.
Here's Pollock now. He was 0 for 4. This is a relatively young ball club in Arizona. Inciarte is 24. Goldschmidt and Pollock are 27. Owings, shortstop at 23. The Cuban, Yasmani Tomas is 24. Dyson is just dealing right now.
He really is. He's got it going. The power sinker and the changeup.
Looking for his 5th strikeout. 0-2 coming. Got him. Wow. And the bottom just dropped out of that. At 89. Sam Dyson. The Marlins. The Diamondbacks still 2-2. for Miami in the 7th. Michael Morse will pinch hit in the bottom of the 11th. He takes a ball from Brad Ziegler.
Boy, for Sam Dyson, Rich, a career high for him, 5 strikeouts.
Morse, a chopper over the mound. Hill has it, and he'll go to first in time to get Morse.
Well, that's just bad luck. I'm not sure if Ziegler touched it as it went over his head. Either way, just bad luck on the part of Michael Morse. Might have deflected it just a bit, and Aaron Hill was able to complete the play.
D. Gordon is 0 for 4. We got Martin Prado, and if anybody reaches, Giancarlo Stanton. Gordon takes strike 1. Steve Cishek in Miami's pen. No one in Arizona's pen. Ziegler relatively fresh. He's been able to get 4 outs on just 14 pitches. And his ERA is almost under 1 now.
Not too many offers for D. Gordon. With the 0 for 4 is average at .409.
And that's way out. Ziegler has been a really effective reliever out of Oakland's pen first. And this is his 5th year in Arizona. Got a lifetime ERA of 2.5. It's amazing. You look at a guy like Ziegler, who kind of reinvented himself in minor leagues. His major league ERA is a run and a quarter lower than his minor league ERA. You don't see that.
Yeah, 35 years old. He's figured it out the last few years.
This career. Look at that ERA.
Guy who can give you multiple innings.
And he strikes out Gordon. And the Marlins right now are not sure what to do with Brad Ziegler. They haven't been able to hit him. Here comes Prado.
Marlins have gone since the home run. The Marlins have gone down 14 straight. Not had a base runner since the Real Muto home run in the 7th inning.
Former teammate Martin Prado. Mets and Cardinals are headed to extra innings. 1-1. They go to the 10th in Flushing. Here is the 0-1. It zings outside. Diamondbacks bullpen sets up in an odd fashion. They don't have a lot of saves. In fact, they have just 2 saves this year. Which for a team that comes in having won 15 games, that is a bit odd.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing when you look at their stat line.
One, 2. A tantalizing frisbee slider.
Boy, when he gets 2 strikes, he'll try to get right-handers to chase them.
Just missed. Ziegler.
Boy, that's patience to be able to take that pitch.
Ziegler
that was closer than the one before.
He eyeballed it, and it was closer, but it's still just off the plate, not by much. Let's see if he gets something a little straighter here at 3-2. And he pulls it foul. With the assortment of breaking balls and off-speed pitches, if Prado were to reach, it really would be a fascinating at bat to watch Ziegler and Stanton duel. Prado swung at ball 4, that last pitch that was just off the ground. Shoots that one down the third base line as well. Prado, one of those guys that's really hard to walk. A lot of contact early in his at bat. And a swing and a miss and a strikeout, and Brad Ziegler is perfect through his 2 innings out of the bullpen. This game's going to the 12th, 2-2. Bullpens have been outstanding. Cishek becomes the 3rd Marlin reliever after 8 innings of Dan Herron. And for the Fish and for Cishek, it's been a process this last week, trying to make the adjustments to his delivery, and the attention, Tommy, has been to that left shoulder.
Yeah, it's what Chuck Hernandez and others saw in San Francisco and LA. It's something that Steve has worked on. He pitched a couple of good innings Saturday, and it's just a matter of keeping that left shoulder tucked. When that stays tucked, his velocity stays a little bit better. He's going to stay away from hanging too many sliders.
Well, he's got Paul Goldschmidt right out of the chute, and he misses away with a slider. Goldschmidt, Yasmani Tomas, and the pitcher spot for the Diamondbacks. Goldschmidt takes down low. The Diamondbacks have 1 hit since the 5th inning. That was a Mark Trumbo single. He left the game for a pinch runner.
Well, the Diamondbacks have struck out 12 times. Dyson had 5, A.J. Ramos a couple, Dan Herron had 5.
Addison Reed, Arizona's pen. Ground ball, Gordon to his left, has it on the outfield grass and throws out Goldschmidt. Who could run a little bit. He runs better than I think most think.
Well, we mentioned earlier 6 stolen bases and gets up the line well.
Now Yasmani Tomas, who was 2 for 4. Tomas pulls one in the hole at short, and he is safe. Head first slide. Tomas a face full of dirt. Marlins still have their challenge, and they'll look at it. This is always tough as an umpire when someone slides. And I think his hand got to the bag.
Looked like the hand was there before that ball came into the back of Justin Bour's glove. A good play on Echeverria's part and a nice pick on the part of Justin Bour. But I do think that hand, look at the hand there, it's close.
No challenge. And an infield hit for Tomas. Cliff Pennington will pinch hit.
Yeah, he's pinch hitting for Ziegler in that double switch.
Tomas has a couple stolen bases. He's at first. Cishek throws a strike. Only two other National League games going on tonight. The Phillies and the Rockies are 1-1. That's in Colorado, and that's in the fourth. Cardinals, Mets, bottom 10, 1-1 there. Up the middle, Gordon, a great stop. Echeverria the turn. That's a beautiful one. Gordon was screened off by Bruce Treckman, the second base umpire, but still saw enough of it to snare it and start the double play.
All he needed to see was just a little bit of white. Pick, flip, double play.
Terrific play, and he had to navigate around Bruce Treckman.
Yeah, this is a great play either way you think about it, but with the umpire, Treckman there, he's got to deal with him, maybe screened a little bit, but still picks it, gets the flip to Echeverria. A thing of beauty. These guys have done it all year. Look at the sure-handed Echeverria and the turn in plenty of time.
After 2 innings of Brad Ziegler, Addison Reed comes out of the bullpen for Arizona. Giancarlo Stanton for the Fish. And a breaking ball misses away. Reed has not had the best of years. You can see the ERA and the opponent's average against. I guess if you were to draw it up on paper, Reed technically would be the closer. Though I think Ziegler may be the most effective arm out of the pen right now for Arizona.
I think at times, the offseason, that might have been the way that Diamondbacks drew it up.
Stanton hasn't seen anything close, and it's 3-0.
I'll tell you what, he's a pitch away from issuing the first walk in this ballgame. Neither staff has walked a batter.
There's a strike, and it's 3-1 for Giancarlo, an 0 for 4. Dan Jennings in his first ball game, extra innings. And that is ball 4. Stanton walks. Leadoff walk, bottom of the 12th, and here comes Justin Moore.
And I think you let Justin Moore swing because he probably hasn't been asked to bunt a whole lot in his career. Got the hole open on the right side.
Yeah, he wasn't swinging that lead pipe on deck, thinking about a bunt. Stanton's at first. Moore singled in the 7th. Reed misses away. It's 1-0.
In almost 650 minor league games, no sacrifice bunts.
It's good research. And Bohr pops it up and then slams his busted bat down. You can hear it shatter. One out here in the 12th. Here comes Real Muto.
Looked like he got a pretty good pitch. He may have thought it was going to drift more middle of the plate. He got jammed, shatters his bat, and then shatters it even more.
Real Muto homered in the 7th against Ruby De La Rosa. It was a 2-run shot, his first in the big leagues. And that's it for Miami tonight. Both starters were outstanding. De La Rosa went 9 innings, gave up 2 runs. Dan Herron went 8 and gave up 2 runs. Both bullpens have been on it. There's been an Oliver Perez sighting. He's warming up in Arizona's bullpen.
The Oliver Perez sighting in honor of Met fans who might be watching this one.
Most of them are probably watching the Mets and the Cards right now in the bottom of the 10th.
Yeah, they got a good one going in New York.
It's a 1-1 game. Stanton dives back. Stanton is one of those base stealers that if you don't pay attention to him, he'll get you a running lead and steal a bag. He has swiped 3 this year.
We've also seen JT shorten up on his swing. There's an outside chance, and it would be a gamble to see a hit and run on this 1-1 pitch.
Stanton's running, pitches in, throw down to second, and he's out at second.
Now, I don't know if the hit and run was on. Might have a better look if we see Giancarlo if he took a peek over his shoulder. I'm guessing the hit and run was on. Somebody missed it, and in this case it was probably JT. It's usually the hitter.
So Stanton is out. There's 2 outs. And Reed misses, counts 3-1. And Real Muto walks.
I always thought, Rich, one of the best ways to not miss signs was to anticipate yourself and think of game situations and okay, you count Scott the 1-1 as the guy with a little speed at first base, tie game. Hey, a hit and run might be put on. And so if you're thinking about it, you might see it a little better and not miss the side.
So here's Yelich. A double in 4 trips. There's not a lot of hits to go around on either side. And that speaks to the 2 quality starts from Heron and De La Rosa, and the bullpen work for the Marlins. Ramos, Dyson, and Cishek.
The outfielders will take a step or 2 back. They want to cut anything off. Anything gets through the gap, Real Muto has a chance to score.
And remember, Real Muto, for a catcher, runs pretty well. Ball and a strike. Here's a 1-1. That pitch was down. Reed buries that one. Count evens at 2-2. 2 runs, 7 hits for the Diamondbacks. Marlins have 6 hits with their 2 runs. Both teams have left 3 on base. Yelich takes down, and that'll give Real Muto a head start. And so a ball in the gap, despite the outfielders being deep. Now the Marlins have a chance to win it.
And Goldschmidt at first will play behind Real Muto, especially with the left-handed batter.
There he goes. Yelich, a ground ball out to second. And Aaron Hill gets the out. Addison Reed gets to the 12th. This game's headed to the 13th inning. Two Diamondbacks and Marlins. It was Manny Tomas the first blow for the Diamondbacks. He drove in the first 2 runs. JT Realmuto, a 2-run homer, his first big league homer, tied it. In between innings, Giancarlo Stanton, who on this play peaked as if it was a hit and run, was thrown out.
So you're trying to figure out at the time, somebody missed a sign. Was it JT Realmuto? Was it Giancarlo? Had a long discussion with Marlins third base coach Brett Butler, Martin Prado listening in. Hard to tell by that discussion if Stanton was the one who missed the sign or if it was Realmuto. Hard to tell.
As it is, Steve Cishek stays in. Aaron Hill is up, and Cishek misses down low. Cishek worked a scoreless 12th. He was helped on a great play by D. Gordon to start a 4-6-3 inning-ending double play. This is Hill, who's 0 for 4, and he sends one a little easier to corral for D. Gordon.
Good to see Steve Cishek stay down in the zone, get some ground ball outs. Every out recorded has been on the ground.
Chris Owings now. Owings is 0 for 4. Damage for Arizona is Manny Tomas. He's got 3 hits, including both runs driven in. Damage for Miami, JT Realmuto, the 2-run homer. Into left, a clean hit for Owings. Here is Gosewich.
See what that pitch was that Owings was able to get the base hit on. Fastball, but up a little bit. We were talking about how so far Cishek has been able to stay down, got that one pitch up, and Owings had a good swing.
Runner goes, swing and a miss. Realmuto's throw, and it carried Gordon to the third base side of the bag. And a stolen base for Chris Owings, who's a perfect 5 of 5 on the season.
So the Diamondbacks putting the hit and run on, the swing and miss, but the throw off line, but Owings did get a really good jump. Would have been close though, had the throw been there.
And you saw the hitter Gosewich leaning out over the plate. There was no contact between the two catchers.
That's a tough throw for a catcher.
On a hop, Gordon gets the out. There are 2 outs. And here's Peralta. Remember, he came in a spot, entered in the lineup in the 9 spot in a double switch, second at bat. A dangerous hitter. Chance to give Arizona the lead.
I believe, Rich, this is only the second extra inning game the Marlins have played this year.
That's driven into the corner, and the Diamondbacks have the lead. Peralta into second. Stanton picks it up, and Arizona in the 13th is up 3-2.
Well, a couple of pitches. That one not up as much, but not the sharp biting slider that we see Steve Cishek throw. Peralta, a good hitter, took advantage. Yeah, the only other extra inning game this year was early in the season, April 10th, against the Rays. 10 innings.
Peralta's double makes it 3-2. Cishek misses out, and Ciarte the hitter. It's 2-0. pitch runs out. 3-0. Enrique Burgos. Pitch is up. Ciarte walks. So the Diamondbacks with runners first and second. Cishek trying to get through this 13th. Miami's bullpen had been quiet. With some activity now. And here's A.J. Pollock. Diamondbacks bullpen active. Fastball misses away. And right now, Steve Cishek can't find the strike zone. We saw Chuck Hernandez on the phone. Still having trouble dialing in that fastball command.
That's what it's been all about for Steve Cishek, the fastball command.
Brian Morris getting ready. Pollock is 0 for 5. Echeverria, a flip and an out, just barely at second base. But the Diamondbacks do damage. David Peralta gives Arizona a 1-run lead going to the bottom of the 13th. Three hours to get to the bottom of the 13th. But he came into the ball game, delivers an RBI double, and Enrique Burgos, a hard-throwing right-hander, will try to save it.
Yeah, those 16 strikeouts have come in his last 7 outings. He was recalled late April, and he is a hard thrower.
Echeverria. 96, an easy 96 for a strike. Ichiro to follow, and remember, with Marcell Ozuna having to leave for a family emergency, the Marlins bench is thin. Jeff Baker and Jonathan Solano are it.
Last year, this hard-throwing right-hander was in A ball, 29 saves in the California League.
He's 1-2 on Echeverria.
So he's made a large leap to get here.
And the ask here from Chip Hale is to get your first big league save in the 13th inning. He strikes out Echeverria. He's got the first out.
Came with a slider that time.
There is Ichiro now. Andrew Chafin up in Arizona's bullpen. Ichiro's 2 for 4. Ball and a strike. Jeff Baker on deck. And that's out. So it's 2-1. Outfield towards left center. That's away at 97. It's 3-1.
Well, Borges out of Panama City, call him the Panama Express, I guess, but missed with that one. The Marlins just want to get a base runner.
Coming to Ichiro. And it's out. Ichiro is aboard. So Miami's got some speed at first base with 1 out, down a run in the bottom of the 13th. Here is Jeff Baker. Baker, who got a start this weekend, responded with a couple of hits. You can see 6 for 18. A majority of his at-bats come against lefties. His start came against the lefty.
2 for 9 as a pinch hitter. And remember, it took Jeff Baker, because of just not many opportunities, a while to get a base hit. All of a sudden he's 6 for 18 on the year.
Baker's 8th plate appearance against a righty this year. He's 2 for 5 with a couple of walks. Burgos. Career splits.
Could add over 300 against lefties. Remember, hit that big walk-off against the Dodgers last year. That shot to right that was off of Puig's glove.
Ichiro's had a few mishaps on the bases this year. He's been picked off a couple times. He's running. Pitch is taken. The throw down to second. He is safe. Ichiro steals it. The Diamondbacks are going to look at it. Aaron Hill and Bruce Dreckman discussing it.
Well, you have to see if he's on the bag before the tag. The tag was applied up on the upper body, but was Ichiro's foot on the bag? He usually slides straight at the bag.
Oh, that's close.
Boy, it is.
And I think the Diamondbacks are going to look at it.
I think he got him. If he swiped across his shoulder, he may have done it right there before the foot got the bag.
And if that didn't get him, see if Ichiro goes off the base as he slides, and the glove's still on him. He's out, Tommy. He's off the base clearly. So it's either the tag or Ichiro being off the base. This is going to be the second out.
Boy, there's been a couple of really good throws by Tuffy Goswitch, who spent a long time in the minor leagues, but always had a good percentage, close to 40% in throwing runners out.
Foot's not there yet.
Yeah, he's got him.
And then off the bag as well. Hill kept the glove on him throughout the slide. Goswitch looking into his dugout, seems pretty confident. And Ichiro at second awaits the verdict, and he is out. It is a big call. Ichiro caught stealing.
Well, the last 2 innings, the Marlins getting a runner thrown out. Giancarlo in the 12th inning, and Ichiro here.
The count 1-1 on Baker. Miami's down to the last out. Baker goes after a slider in the dirt, and it's 1-2. Burgos figured he went after the last pitch and throw him another one. Two coming.
Got the heat that time, Burgos.
Baker just trying to get D. Gordon to the plate. Gordon's on deck. Now the 2-2. Got him. Breaking ball. And the Diamondbacks beat the Marlins. The Fish have dropped 4 in a row, and they lose in 13 innings. And so the first game in Dan Jennings' managerial career goes to Arizona. The Diamondbacks themselves snap a 4-game losing streak. David Peralta's RBI double decides it. 3-2 in 13. Marlins Live is coming up.